Hello everyone, Xiao here, and today's video is going to be the in-depth overview on what I own in my collection for the NES. So as you've seen in my previous video, I do have quite a few consoles to get through, and I do have quite a few games to get through as well, and some handhelds. And I plan to get through the Nintendo ones first, starting with, of course, the NES, and the games I own, and the accessories I own. So let's get to it. Now, this is my NES system as well as the main controller I use for it. Now, this NES was bought in a lot of two NESs that were untested as of the listing. Both of them ended up working, however, both of them kind of did eventually were going to need the 72-pin connector back there, swapped out for a new one. And while the one I got wasn't probably the best one available, when there is a Nintendo Drawer mod that is so amazing, I do really want the whole push down mechanism instead of what the mod has. So I stuck with this with just an aftermarket 72-pin connector inside as a repair slash just spruce up. As for the controller, I use this Hyperkin NES Cadet controller. It has a 10-foot cable, really nice. The controller quality itself is what you should expect for a $15 NES controller. It feels fine. If I had to guess, an OEM NES controller back in its prime probably would feel better than this, but compared to other, like $5 controllers and really old OEM controllers, this feels just perfectly fine to use. So there isn't really much to be said on this controller other than why don't I have an OEM controller for my display? Because one thing you might notice about my display is most of the consoles do have OEM controllers with them. And even the ones that do have OEM controllers with them, sometimes I use a third-party controller anyway, but I still display an OEM controller with it. That is simply because I don't really have an excuse other than I just have not bought an OEM Nintendo controller. That's because usually I get a lot of my stuff in lots, and none of the lots I have purchased have had an NES controller in them, and so I just don't have an official OEM Nintendo controller. And so that's where this goes in. Now, what about two-player games? Well, for two-player games, I do use another controller. It'll be shown with the cables, but it is a classic controller from old school, and no offense to it, it kind of sucks. Let's get to it. So these are the other accessories I use with the console. This is a simple AC adapter. It has plugs for both NES and SNES, however I only use it for my NES, as well as some standard AV cables for the mono audio output. And this is, I believe, old school, old school classic in controller, and it, no offense, sucks. I don't like this thing at all. It came with a aftermarket NES console I bought for I think 20 bucks, and I really don't like this controller. There isn't really much said other than it is my second player controller that I use on my NES, and that is about it for these accessories. Let's get on to the games. So these are the games I own, as well as this EverDrive clone called just the N8 flash cart. This flash cart is obviously not as good as the original EverDrive. However, I do not have $150 to spend on an original EverDrive. So I go with this clone. I believe it was $40 on AliExpress. And one thing you'll notice about many of my consoles is I do have them either modded or with a flash cart to be able to play games that I have not yet purchased, that I do plan to purchase, or to test out games, so I'm not spending $50 on an old game that I might not even want. So for this flash cart, I have it loaded with some NES games that I do want to play, such as Kirby's Adventure, as well as the Earthbound. I don't really know what it's called, but it's the Earthbound that was finally released in the States with a Wii U Virtual Console ROM, and as well as Metroid and a couple others like those. I haven't really tested any games that are lesser known. It's mostly just for the Nintendo hits that I've been looking at on the flash cart, but I have had fun with it, and I do plan to buy Kirby's Adventure. I plan to buy Metroid if I do end up liking Metroid on the flash cart. It's just as it stands right now, I don't want to pay however much Metroid is right now, because I've never really played a Metroid game, so I don't really know how I feel about Metroid, which is why I have the flash card to test them out. I also have been checking out some other Famicom games that I've heard of, and other things like that, and as well as the save battery on this also helps, because I don't really want to replace a save battery on NES games that I purchase just yet. I technically do have the knowledge on how to do it, the soldering abilities and everything. I am just not sure if I want to do it just yet, and I'm only home for the summer, and so once I go back to college and start acquiring more of these games, I won't be able to actually solder, because I'm not allowed a soldering station in my dorm room, obviously. But this is my main way of playing ROMs on official hardware. However, I do have actual cartridges I do use for games I do play. So let's get to that. So to begin, these are the stack of games I do actually own. Some of them came in lots together, some of them I bought single, and some of them I do actually play. To begin, our first game is this Exodus game. I believe it has something to do with the Bible, and I have never stuck it in the console, but here will be a little bit of gameplay of it, I guess. This is I believe, I don't really know the history of this. I think it's the Tengen thing or whatever, but this is basically just a not officially licensed Nintendo game that existed. I don't really know much about this. I know there's plenty of history on this. I bought it in a lot. I've never actually stuck it in, but I will stick it in and show some footage to the side. But that's that game. And then I do have Excite Bike. Mine is in decent enough condition. Obviously, none of these are in good condition. I'm not paying that much money for all these, but some of them are in decent condition. This is a 3-screw version of Excite Bike. I do have a 5-screw game of soccer there, but again, I can show some footage of Excite Bike, which if you're watching this, you probably do know what Excite Bike is, but I'll have some footage there. Next, of course, is The Legend of Zelda. This was bought in a lot with Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, and its save battery was actually pretty good still. It had writing on this when I bought it, obviously. Both of them do have this writing on it. The save file seemed to be pretty far, if I last remember correctly, but I will be having, again, footage to the side of this game, even though, again, if you're watching this video, you know what the game is. Next is the pinball game that I bought when I bought the Classic in from Old School. I actually had some fun with this. I think it was like $7 when I bought it at the retro store I was at, and I really do enjoy my time with pinball. I do stick it in occasionally, not as much as I stick in Tetris, but I still like this pretty decently, and again, footage will be on the side. Next is soccer. This, like Exodus, I have never put in, other than to test it. I have no interest in playing NES soccer, and I doubt anyone else would unless for the novelty. Here's some footage to the side though. Next is, of course, Super Mario Brothers. This was bought in a lot, I think, with this other Mario Brothers Duck Hunt cartridge, which is kind of funny enough. But this one's pretty beat up, but still works, and I have my fun with it. This one I stick in less than the actual Mario Brothers cartridge, single cartridge, just because I don't know what it is about these two, but I like this one more for some reason, so I stuck that one in more. But I do have a Duck Hunt cartridge with no CRT, so I cannot play Duck Hunt, but I do have it. I do have Mario Brothers 3. Nothing special about this other than the front is really dirty, and I have not been able to clean it. I'm sure there's a way to clean it. I just haven't found a good, easy way with the very minimal research I've been doing. But I do have it. As well as Tetris. I bought this shortly after I bought pinball with the Old School clone console. And I had some fun with this one. And I still stick this one in quite often because I do like NES Tetris a lot. NES Tetris is definitely my favorite Tetris. There's not really much else to that, other than I guess the Game Boy Tetris is also pretty good, but for consoles, I like NES Tetris the most. Next is Zelda 2. I have not played this one other than check the save battery still exists. but I do have it. And that is pretty much my stack of games. There's not really much else to say about these games other than I have been mostly playing Kirby right now on the flash cart. Mainly because, again, one, money reasons, but two, I don't want to deal with the save batteries right now, and three, I'm also trying Metroid. So I've been using this for that type of stuff, and I know some people, again, think the flash carts ruin the purity of these original consoles, but I don't know, it makes it easier for me to access these older games, as well as translations that I do want to play eventually. So I do have it, and I do use it decently often. The clone flash carts, I guess for a quick review on the clone flash carts, they're decent. Obviously, I'm sure they're not as good as the official EverDrives or anything, but they get the job done. They do have lesser compatibility, and they don't get firmware updates, but again, they work. So I guess that is it for mostly the showcase of it. I will have, I guess, a couple, well, no, that'll probably be it for this video, I guess. I hope you have a good one watching this, and have a nice one. Bye.